and I stopped and I walked. And as I was walking, I was looking on Instagram at some videos, and I saw a video that Deontay Wilder had done, and he said that he could knock out Mike Tyson in one round in his heyday. And I thought, this is disrespectful, because Mike Tyson's 50-odd years old, and Deontay Wilder's a young champion in his era. And I thought, you know what, for that one comment, I'm going to come back and I'm going to knock you out. And he also said some stuff about me as well. He said, oh, he's fat and he'll never make a comeback. He's too far gone. So I owe Deontay Wilder for actually bringing me back and giving me more inspiration to return, as well as God.
Those are the words of Tyson the Gypsy King Fury once again. And he, as you guys heard, he was explaining why he came back to the sport. I think initially he just wanted to get into shape because he was a fat bastard and, gained a lot of weight and all that stuff. And the extra incentive was Deontay Wilder making the rude comments about Mike Tyson. I do remember when Deontay Wilder said that. This was a couple years ago when Deontay first started to smell himself. Okay, that's how I like to describe it, because before then, I remember Wilder from Golden Boy, and he really didn't have that persona. You know what I mean? I think where all the Statue of Liberty and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Shredder uniforms, I think he was starting to evolve. But it's interesting to hear what certain words are supposedly derogatory comments motivates people. I remember a little bit about this, okay? This is the first time I heard about the Mike Tyson, but I do remember what Deontay Wilder said about Tyson Fury. He's fat, he's washed up, he's a has-been, he can't come back. Deontay Wilder said that out of his own mouth. Now, we fast forward 4 years, okay? This wasn't 18, this was 17, I think. So 3 years. And Wilder said something like that. I guess speak it, believe it, receive it, because he was the one that said Tyson Fury can't come back. And I think his words came back to bite him, because that gave Tyson Fury the motivation it needed to come back to the sport, to come after Wilder. That's why I think he called out Wilder specifically. Now, the Joshua fight was on the table, but they knew that's a British fight. Okay? I think they knew that was still there. Eddie Hearn didn't want to pay for him to fight four tune-ups or 3 tune-ups than Joshua. He didn't want to pay for that, so he went on. He went back to Frank, and Frank was like, okay, sure, let's see what you can do. Let's get you some tune-up fights. So I guess Frank believed in him in essence. So he went with Frank. Now, I think that the disrespectful comments about Mike Tyson, people will always criticize Wilder for that. Because, see, it's one thing when older fighters, for example, like Layla Ali, what she's doing to Clarissa Shields right now. Layla's retired, but her saying, hey, I would beat that ass, I'm better than her, she doesn't hit hard enough, she's small. That's typical. Why? Because that retired fighter is just talking from nostalgia, just looking back, at their best moments of life and compare their best moments in their career to what those current fighters are doing, like Clarissa Shields is doing right now. And a lot of fighters do that. And at the end of the day, it can never be proven. So I think people use that opportunity to talk shit about what they would do to the current division where they were once at. Okay? Wilder's different. Wilder is an active fighter saying that he would have smoked Mike Tyson in his heyday. That is disrespectful. I mean, it's bold. Again, it was Deontay Wilder building his confidence. You know what I mean? Saying what he could do. You know why? Because he was fighting the guys that he was fighting, and he was knocking their ass out. He was knocking these people out, but these people, who did they knock out? These people had stupid, ridiculous records. They had like Rod Salka rankings. If you guys don't know who Rod Salka is, that's the fighter that Danny Garcia picked back in the day and went viral because nobody knew who he was. I think he was like 76. You know what I mean? He was nowhere near the top 30, nowhere near the top 40, right? Rod Salka. Deontay was beating these Rod Salkas. He was knocking them out every so often. You know, you got the Spilka, and, you know, we heard of Spilka. I heard of Spilka. So, you know, then Stavern. Stavern was like the first person that we heard about because Stavern beat Chris Arreola. Chris Arreola was the Olympian, right? That got beat by Klitschko. Another person that got beat by Klitschko. When he stepped up, he didn't make it anywhere. Then he got beat by Stavern. Then Stavern, you know, he goes 12 rounds with Stavern. Now, to his credit, he beats Stavern very easily the second fight, right? Now, other than that, you have Luis Ortiz, okay? Then you had Tyson Fury, which he drawed with a guy that has been out of the ring. So you got to ask yourself, coming from the man that claimed that another man couldn't do what he damn near did, which was with a draw, kind of sounds foolish to that guy. It makes him look bad. But what's worse? Getting stopped by that guy. That looks worse. You know? And the Dominic Brazil knockout was legendary. It was classic. It went viral. You know? But Dominic Brazil was already beaten before, so it wasn't anything. It wasn't like the Ortiz win. Because Ortiz has only been beaten by one man, and that one man is Deontay Wilder. Until that one man, Ortiz, fights someone else, he will always have that stripe, okay? He will have that stripe on his back for beating that guy. But you go and you fight Tyson Fury, piss a man off, say what a man's not going to do, and you get beat for it. You take a draw, then you take an L. Okay? And it just goes to show you, be careful who you talk about when you're dealing with retired fighters or respected fighters or fighters that has been tested. Either they won or they lost. They still been tested and they still are reviewed as the best. Okay? That's the moral of the story. Don't criticize that. Okay? Don't criticize what another fighter's already done. Because like he said himself, like Wilder will say, every fighter that goes into the ring risks their life in there, which is absolutely true. So don't say what another person will do. Matter of fact, just be respectful and more modest and keep your mouth shut. Because things like that enrages people. You know? Like Whack 100 got beat up by Mike Tyson for calling Tupac a fag or a homosexual. I think he called him a fag, though. That's why I said that term. So, you know, you don't talk about someone that it was once upon a time good. And my final counterpunch, never say what a person can't do, because it could always come back to bite you. But anyway, that's me wrapping it up on Tyson Fury's journey back to the welterweight crown. Of course, please subscribe, and you guys been Counterpunched. Peace.